I thought I would do a tutorial on isometric stuff. So I do quite a bit of isometric stuff, more corporate style stuff. So I thought I would try my hand at doing some kind of isometric dungeon type thing. So just a couple of caveats. One, I'm not in this particular tutorial. I'm not going for a hand drawn one. Obviously, this is going to be done for shapes because I think it's more important to know how to actually do isometric stuff and the principles behind it before you kind of embark on, let's say, using a pen tool or should I say a stroke and trying to make it look like it's drawn. The second thing is there's probably other and better ways to do this. I'm kind of new to doing. This is the first dungeon I've ever done actually isometrically, so there might be lots of better ways to do it. Oh, and thirdly, I'm going to try and talk about like principles for isometrics. So if you don't have an Affinity Designer and you use something else, you should be able to use these principles and actually still be able to create some isometric stuff. Right, so let's begin again. I'll show you some of the details. You know, a fireplace, kind of little chairs. The other cool thing about stuff like this is these assets, once done, you can import them anywhere. Now, as I said, I'm not trying to make these look all like wooden textures or anything. I've kind of only done this for the purposes of the tutorial. And that's the sarcophagus. There's our little treasure chest. And you can, once these assets are done, you have them for life. And then you've got your columns, etc. So let's start new. By the way, this was just some kind of vampires layer that I just quickly did up. I'm not trying to put lots of little like distressing details and whatnot, and like doors with wood paneling. I mean, we can do that at some other point, but at the moment, I just want to show you some principles. So I'll keep that open just for reference. I probably won't do even the same. I'm going to create a new document of 5,000 by 5,000 pixels. And you'll see that the grid is up here. Now, if you're using Affinity Designer, you can just use your modify grid and you can choose your divisions. You can set up all the stuff here, etc. But that's your edit on. I will go through the I'll choose this one. Now, if you don't have access to a grid, this is inbuilt into this Affinity drawing program. You can literally, if I bring this over, you can literally go to somewhere like Pinterest and just type in isometric grid and you'll get all these choices. So there's loads there to choose from. So you can just bring that in and draw over it. Usually, I, believe it or not, create my own grids. But for this purposes, for this purpose, we'll just use this. It's quite a mad grid, actually. Let's just have a quick grid settings. Yeah. There's. Just want to try and look at sub. All right. God. Oh my eyes. Christ. Let's just get rid of that for now. The subdivisions be a little bit easier to work with. And the cool thing is, as these are vector graphics, you can work from whatever size. So I can zoom in, etc. So if we try to recreate our vampire's lair, that's easy enough. We'll just get a plane, go over here, get your square tool, and we can pop it there. I'll probably have to do a series of tutorials because, you know, it's quite there's quite a lot to go through, especially if you want to make it like dungeons, etc. So now that we have this plane, I'm going to have to convert to curves, and that's just right click, convert, right click, and you can see I've already done a convert to curves there. And that means I can make this editable. Now, there's a few things I can do. I can, of course, just go in here, and I've got my snaps on up here, by the way, and I can literally just create my plane here, riveting stuff. Ta-da! Okay, so there's the plane, and it's in the right isometric view. And you will notice that if I go in, you'll see that even though I have snapping on, in my last video I talked about Affinity's not the best at snapping, believe it or not. It has, I don't know, it's just not perfect. So depending on how precise you want to be, I would always check the setting. Now, because I do a lot of kind of corporate commercial work in isometric, and sometimes it gets animated, etc., my stuff has to be like pixel perfect, but you may not have to do that. So, you know, I'm just, but you'll probably see me being quite anal about it, but that's kind of just a force of habit. Okay, so we have our first plane, and let's see. Yeah, okay, it's fair enough. Of course, and we can select the nodes, and we can make it bigger. Now, I would highly recommend, once you select your nodes, you hold shift, and you can then, it will constrain you to the angle you're looking for. Of course, unless you want to do it like this, but it will give you this in increments. It'll be perfect. I'll be using that a lot. And of course, it hasn't snapped. Just pop him there for the moment. I'm going to take another plane. This, you can literally do this. You can kind of just go to this option here and go fit to plane, and bang, it's kind of done the hard work for you. And then you can kind of adjust. You can, again, you're going to have to, which is really annoying actually, I'm going to have to right click, convert to curves, and unless you kind of make the shape from scratch, you'll always have to do that with, like, anytime you go in here, you'll have to, like, any type of shape, you'll have to, like, I think it should be off by default, but anyway. So here we have, that's the other way to do a plane. That color's a little bit, I might, just a little bit easier to see, because the grey is quite bland. So you can obviously set the spacing for your grid as you want, and I'm not going to get into too much technical detail on how to do very precise stuff like circular circles, half circles in perspective, because a lot of times I do that via eye, so I just find it quicker that way. But technically, you can, like, if you know, you can get a circle here, and you can just go fit to plane, and then you've got your perfect circle. But we'll discuss that later. So let's say we have our main kind of entrance, or our main hall, we'll say, for the, I'm just checking the, so we have our main hall, lovely stuff. And I want to now put a corridor. So I'm going to, see, I'm not sure if you guys have seen my other video, so I'm just going to assume you haven't seen one of my videos before, so apologies if it seems a bit slow. I'm going to just copy this, and there's a couple of ways you can do this. I'm just going to select the object, hold down Option and Shift, and then it'll also put it on, move it on the same plane, which is kind of handy. And I'm going to bring this down, and I want to keep it. We'll keep it four panels wide here. Doesn't really matter. You can easily resize it here, but let's just for purposes at the moment, I might be able to. It doesn't really have to be totally symmetrical in the sense that I don't mind if it was here or here, you know, but I'm just gonna pop it here for now because it kind of looks in the middle. Yeah. So there we have our corridor leading down to the main hall. Maybe this is too wide for a corridor, dungeon corridor. It kind of depends. Let's leave it at 3. And let's make a path then, as I had in this image. Yeah, okay. So I think I'm just going to line them up so this part of the grid and this part of the grid. That means I'll have to do this. So I mean, you can always resize any of this stuff. And this is going to be a little stairs. And I'm just going to select both nodes and move them up. How steep do you want it? You can have it going down, you can have it going up. But let's just have it like that, a little decline there. So, okay. And then I'm going to just select this or duplicate it. And I'm just holding Alt there. I don't really care about the same plane at the moment. And I'm going to have this as the top of the entrance to this kind of a tomb. I'm going to bring this in a bit. It's kind of quite big. And I'm just going to color this for now slightly, just so we know it's, you know, it's slightly different angles. So we'll color that down. What else did we do? Yeah, okay. Okay, sorry. I come back to make this a little bit longer because it's a main hall, if you will. And I'm going to hold down Alt as I've just done and make a new room here. It's quite irritating that I have to kind of go in, zoom in to make sure it snaps. Like, well, that room's too big. See, but as I snap it, like it, why doesn't it snap to its own inbuilt grid? So it's just something that we have to put up with as Affinity users. I remember using a lot of my old stuff was done in Animate, Adobe Animate, but I had to use Adobe Animate, and I would, well, it was Flash, but the grid was perfect on it. Anyway, sorry, rant over. I'm going to get rid of that for the moment, and I'm going to bring this more into the middle so I have more space to play with. Of course, I can literally just make it really small and do the same thing, but just we'll keep it at this size for now. Yeah. Oh dear. The snap again has. Oh, there. That should be perfect. So, I keep forgetting what I had. Okay. I figured that the vampire, the head vampire, would have some kind of pit where he would put all his minions, or she, could be a female. So instead of putting it on the main hall, I'm going to put it, I think, somewhere around here, actually. So far we have our basic plan. Nearly. I'm going to steal this bring the whole lot down. And I'm being conscious that to try and keep all these kind of corridors and stuff the same, because when it comes to me putting on doors, etc., I want to keep them, you know, the same measurements for ease. Right, take this. This is going to be the Count or Vampire's Lair or whatever he. Maybe it's. And I'm making it quite a small layer just for tutorial purposes. So here's our pit, I think, where he keeps his new progeny. Whoop. Connect that. It's the same size. That's fine. Well, we'll just make that a little bit bigger. And that's kind of everything. It's quite a short little. Yeah, now I'm going to use this kind of rather ugly color for the moment until we start actually kind of putting details in. So there's a couple of things here. So we got to start thinking about doing doors. Right. So let's say doors and walls. Sorry, I keep referring back to. Yeah. Okay. So let's go for a door. And now I'm thinking, if this is a door here, or this is a main corridor, I want it bigger. So I'm going to put that, I might put that to 4 actually. But that's easy enough to change. Now you'll notice that the this is not on the same plane, because it's kind of we adjusted it, but you just simply select those nodes and it'll go along into place. So this is a proper bigger staircase. Right, so now we have to design our door. And I'm just going to change the I'm going to change the plane of the graph, and I'm using these little icons up here. I'm going to go to a front. You don't need to do this, obviously, if you don't have that kind of inbuilt grid. We could easily do it just on the 30-30, but we'd just be we'd be doing it by, you know, just by on the front. So here, what I mean is I can just literally go, I can just create my plane here in this. See, I edit in plane, so it will just, anytime I create a plane now, it will do it on the grid's kind of whatever axis it is. So now that we've changed it to front, it will automatically do any planes to our front. Sorry, to this. Right, so generally, okay, that's fine. But generally, dungeon doors are a little bit, you know, well, they may be curved at the top. Let's do that now, actually. So again, I have to convert to curves. Now, there's no node here, so I'm just going to double click here, or just single click and make another node, and I can bring it up to whatever height you want. I mean, it could be, you can make it like nearly like a Gothic church or whatever, but for me, like a kind of a double dungeon door or something like this. And then I'm going to go to my halfway point and then stretch it out. And then this I'm just kind of using my eyeball for. I'm trying to roughly use the grid. I don't want to go over the grid here. So something like that kind of works for me. But you'll notice that we've kind of got two little points here. So I'll select these two. And I'm going to go for the corner tool, which is up here, and I use the shortcut C. And I'm just going to like remove these, yeah, and a bit more up here. So now we have our door, and it looks fine for all intents and purposes. Now I could also do the same thing with, I could do a circle here, draw out my circle. I'm going to just change the color so you can see it a bit better. And I could have done it I'm holding Command. I'm on a Mac, so I'm not sure what the PC equivalent is. So I can kind of like now just bend that in. So I could have literally done it with a circle, which would probably be slightly more accurate, but and I could have done that actually. Let's just wanted to show you another way of doing it. I'm going to convert that to curves to bake these in. I can just literally so I'm now just selecting these two objects, the plane and the circle, and I'm going to go up here to Boolean operations, add, and now we have, it still oddly looks wonky because isometric just, it always looks wonky, even though that is a perfect circle in isometric terms. But I'm going to go back because I kind of like the way I had it. So yeah, just had a little bit more character to it. So that's cool for now. Then I'm going to go to my top again, and I'm going to take this. This door as well is pretty big. Okay, these can be the same doors, I think. And then any other door would be a lot smaller. So I'm being a little bit fastidious about this because I just don't want to have to do any work down the line. So something like that should be, yeah, well, yeah. So what I'll do is I'm going to go in here, and I'm just going to, that's negligible, so I don't think it'll make any difference visually. Yeah, that's fine. These doors wouldn't be as high, I don't think. So, oops. Just select the nodes I want to move. Okay, so now like looking at proportions, these doors are like huge compared to this. So yeah, I'm just gonna leave it at this for now. I want another door here, another one here. Of course, I'll be replacing all these. I'm just doing this as the kind of plan. When I say replacing, sorry, I mean I'll be adding thickness to them. So we have our doors in place, and let's see, we have a trap here. Okay, I'm going to, will I change all these? I think I'll start going for my grey now. So I'm going to select this, and I'm going to go select same fill color, and then I should be able to just go to anything I want, and I can give it another color. Let's just, for now, we'll just stick with about this. These two will be slightly darker, I think, to show the angle. Doors, not really sure what I want for the doors just yet, angle-wise. Let's leave them Let's leave them darker. So there's our kind of rough plan now that we have. Oops. So there's a couple of things we can do. We can we can now kind of make some kind of wall, like to show a boundary. Now, depending on how thick you want it, you could let's get our plane. And remember, we have this checked on up here, so it's always going to be in the, it's always going to be whatever way the grid is facing, it will create the plane. So we'll pretend these are the walls for now, and we'll keep them maybe one grid panel thick. And shift and option again, so we can just copy that. I'm going to control copy, control V. So I've copied it, I've placed it over itself. The copy is now over the original. And I'm going to go up here and just use the flip horizontal. So that's given me this. And because we're in the perfect plane, I can just simply drag this here. Oops. And let's make another one. Sorry, if you hear any bizarre snoring, that's my cat. Dogs are all in bed, but yeah, got this mad cat who has a very loud snore. Duplicating this again. And yeah, we need to leave space for these kind of doors. Yeah, so let's, yeah, cat be humming away to himself. Okay, now we'll do that again for this. And literally, once you have one plane created, you could just keep copying and pasting it. If you wanted your walls to be thinner, of course, you could, well, obviously make them thinner, but I'm just literally using them one panel for convenience, easy way to kind of measure stuff. And again, I can just literally just keep dragging. Now, if I had any technical knowledge, I would, at this kind of point, I would literally fast forward the video, but like you see people do, and I have no idea how to do that. So I'm afraid you could probably just skip this laborious wall building until I start doing something else. Now, a wall here is obviously it's too thick, really. So I'm just going to pop it here like this, beyond the actual grey part. You'll notice that I've been putting it over to try to keep the rooms kind of relatively small. But where you have to do that, you can always use that option. Maybe I might do it here as well, because that'll give me more real estate for this room. Maybe that'd be a bit too big. I don't know, maybe. Oops. And you can be a bit haphazard, like you don't have to. I mean, as long as the stuff isn't seen. Um, oops. Like you can kind of use it to cover up any jags or digital artifacts. Yeah, okay, that's looking okay. Now I want to do this with the doors. I'm going to take all my doors, and you can see what's happening here, that these lines are over the doors. So I want to go up here and move to front and bring all the doors up over that, so they there's no kind of visual tangents there. I forgot to do this here. We obviously need a space in the wall for our doors. Technically, I suppose the doors would be in the middle, but yeah, but I'll be doing something with that in a minute. I'm going to again do the same thing here with our walls for this. Now, you could say that it might have been easier to do a stroke around all this building. And yeah, I could have done that in seconds. That is very true. There's a couple of reasons I'm not using a stroke to give any kind of black border. Mainly because if you put a stroke around this, the stroke and this become separate, and it's annoying to select them. But I find strokes can be also quite not as precise as like panels like these or planes, because they're their own kind of strange objects, and they can definitely be quite annoying to edit and deal with. Now, maybe I could also, maybe for the kind of looks like Marble Madness or something, but yeah, I mean, you might think, oh, we could make the walls less thick actually if we wanted to. Why have you done that? Anyway, so here's our two big doors leading into this vampire's place and his castle. That'll be down here. So that's our basic plan. The good thing about doing stuff like this is once I've kind of done one room like this, I can select, I can duplicate it, and I could just literally, I can kind of literally just duplicate it, and I could pop it on here, say, for example. All I have to do is now move this. Bit of tidying there. And now we have our another room if we wanted to, and we would. So you literally can, once these are kind of built, you can literally just start like moving stuff around like a kind of a puzzle piece, or like pieces in a puzzle, and you can just make more and more. But let's do some steps here. Okay, so we have our steps, and I'm just going to make them look like steps for the moment. And I can either decide to make them look quite big, like this. I'm just going to, these are quite big, heavy steps, like this. I'm going to make them a lighter color just so you can. And for our step then we would need, obviously, let's just do one step for now. We would need our, second part of the step here. I'm using the pen tool just for something different. No real reason. And we would have to do then a fill in here. So this is our basic step. But first, I forgot to mention something. It's a bugger. Let's just go to the top here. I'm going to get rid of that. I just want to make a... there we go. So this is our imaginary light source, which I kind of forgot to talk about. So there's our light source coming in. Now, we're not really paying any attention to the walls. They're more just for visual, just demarcation purposes. But let's look at this. So here's our sun here radiating. So any object we do will be... So let's just... Here we go. Let's put this different color. And so sorry, I'm just making a box so we can talk about shading for a second. So so I've made an isometric box here, and as the light would come down, it strikes this, so it's going to be lighter. This is going to be the darkest because it's further away from the shadow, and this will be kind of our mid-tone. Now, I'm not going to get too detailed into shading, but that is the main thing you need to know for isometric thingamajigs, blocks. So this is going to be lightest, darkest, and then this is our mid-tone. I mean, you could go into gradients and stuff, but for this tutorial, it's going to be on the scope. But if something else worth talking about would be, let's say this is our ground here. So this is, let's say, no, just a different color. Sorry, a horrible color, but anyway. There would be a shadow being cast, and now this where's where it kind of comes into being stylistic. I'm just kind of coming here, and I'm gonna just put that there. So we would have our shadow coming off like this. So that's kind of an important kind of principle too. Now, the shadow doesn't have to be perfect, and you can make it smaller. It really is up to you. It's kind of a stylistic thing as well. I mean, most of the stuff is eyeballed, but it wouldn't be this kind of. That's like, it would be kind of like trailing off. You could even make it, I mean, down to here if you wanted. You know, but anyway, you get the idea. That's our lad up here. That kind of brings me back to our step. So this is going to be the darkest. This is going to be our mid-tone here. So I'm just going to group these. Now you probably say I'm not using any layers or anything. I'm so used to using doing isometric stuff, I just don't bother with layers. So yeah, but you feel free to, you know, to do it as you need it. Okay, something has gone a bit awry here. Got our steps. I'm getting a little bit confused because of what have I done wrong? Interesting. Mm-hmm. Hmm. Oops. Mm-hmm. Pardon me for one moment. See, like if I had any technical skills, I would simply just cut this out. The point is, all you need to do is do this once, and you'll have you know, that'll be that. Um, so we have our steps. Now, while we have our steps, there is something I kind of neglected to do there, and that's put the patch in here. So if I, so it looks okay, but I actually need to do that and put in our mid-tone. But just for now, I'm just going to use this garish color. I'm just going to get rid of this so I don't have to do it 3 times. Something like that. I'm going to group that so they're one group. And there's our large steps. Right, so there's our steps and our basic plan. Right, so I think this is the kind of first part of that tutorial that I wanted to get across, and then we can start building the rest of it, and we can kind of go into detail on how to actually make assets for your isometric maps. Okay, thanks for joining me, and subscribe if you found this useful. That'd be very cool. Would help this minuscule channel out. Right, so talk to you next time. Thanks. This is awkward silence bit where I have to go up and stop and save the recording.